but I think it starts with identifying the key ecosystem players, right? So this is kind of like everyone we could think about at a high level, like really, really high level that's around this experience. Yesterday, for example, we had like the elderly people, we had their caretakers and family, um, we had their doctors, right? Like or the staff at the assisted living facility. Like there's these different kind of like people who we could potentially think about. We chose the elderly people themselves. So I'd say for that part, you could practice just that for a bunch of questions and just ask myself like, I just want to get really good at like ecosystem player outlining. And then I think once you pick an ecosystem player, the next skill set I think is kind of like a different skill set. So the next skill set is how do I take that group, in this case, the elderly people, and try to really understand the primary things that like motivate them that are relevant to what we're talking about. And yesterday it was about like staying close, staying part of their family's life, right? So like seeking social connection and from with friends and family. Another one is around health, like just like really caring about staying healthy. Another one is about maintaining independence, maybe something like that, right? So you can think of these different primary motivations. The way to practice that skill set, I would really, I think I said this yesterday, but I had never articulated it that way, but it's really about like what's like the most selfish thing that they want for themselves, right? And just like so it's like a psychology exercise almost to like really understand like fundamental motivations. Um, and then the next part of it is really a little bit more scientific, which is about those segmentation heuristics that I like to pair with those primary motivations. And the segmentation heuristics, it's almost like I like to think of that as in the context of what I'm talking about, what are almost like the different, like if I had like a spreadsheet that had everyone in this audience in the spreadsheet, what are like some filters I could potentially apply to find like things that are different characteristics about them that would influence who I go after? Like if I could pick a big meaty group that is uniquely defined, what are like the properties of that group or what are like the characteristics of that group? And in this case, we talked about things like budget, physical mobility, living situation, like alone versus, in like a independent versus dependent living or assisted living facility. Has family nearby or doesn't have family nearby. So for someone maybe who's a little bit less analytically inclined, maybe that spreadsheet analogy doesn't help as much. But I think that's kind of how I think about it. The other analogy that I tell people to use if it resonates more is that cooking analogy. So if each segment that you come up with at the end is almost like a unique meal that you're putting on the menu to pick from, then there could be some overlap in the ingredients. Like maybe multiple of those meals use butter, um, but um, but the way that you get to defining the meals starts with like here's the ingredients I would consider. Like here's the ingredients I'd like in my kitchen when I'm assembling these meals.